Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps lots. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. Alright folks, here we are on Friday, April 29th. We're going to take a look at Ethereum. We haven't taken a look at Ethereum in a while, so I wanted to come in and basically take a look at some key trend lines and support and resistance levels to look at. The goal here is to basically put in some short-term trend lines, which should be obvious, and then grab two support levels and two resistance levels so that we can sort of see what the price does when it gets to those levels. So let's first put in the trend line. So the obvious trend line that I'm looking for it to break for the bulls, and you can also take that to then mean look for it to hold for the bears, would be this downtrend resistance. And you see it's very close to that level right now. This is on the daily time frame, FYI. So this is the downtrend resistance as I see it at the moment, and this is held since about the beginning of April. And so we've been about a month or so in this downtrend, and we'll see. I mean, overall, I would say, before we put the levels in, this is looking for the time being to continue bearish as far as I can see at the moment. But of course, a break of this downtrend resistance would be what I'd be looking for in order for it to break out and make its next bull run, which could look something like this, could be more sustained. Who knows? I mean, at that time we have to see how that breakout is doing and what the breakout itself looks like. The one thing that I'd say to maybe be cautious of is we do often see something where it breaks above the downtrend resistance and then just comes down and starts to follow it down, but outside of the resistance level. So it would just be continuing to follow it down, but it would just be it would look as though it almost flips it to downtrend support, which is a silly sort of way to phrase it, but that's what it would look like. The price action would be on top, but it would still be practically doing the same thing, going down. So I would just be cautious of that. When it breaks out, it could break out just by consolidating through. And then if that's the case, I look for it to break that range and see which way it breaks. It could come up and, break through this in an upward trajectory. To me, that's probably the more risky in the sense of it's more risky that it's going to break up and then break back down and start following this back down. So I would just be cautious, and hopefully the support and resistance levels that we put in will help sort of decipher what that breakout is looking like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here. The good thing about this retracement is we have a bunch of previous price action to base this off of. So I'm going to come back to late 2021 levels, and I guess even dip into like mid 2021 levels and see what the price action did at that time and use that to inform our support and resistance levels today. So we're right about 2800 to 2900 at the moment. So what I'm going to look for are key levels in there that serve as both support and resistance. So you see support, support, previous resistance. Now what I don't see here is any sort of movement that reflects that in this run up. It's not the be all end all, but it's something to note. It could mean that that level is not quite as strong as you would want it to be. So that level is just slightly above where we are. Now, the one that sticks out to me that's below where we are is right about here. This one is a little bit trickier maybe to try to pinpoint. Maybe just shy of 2,500. It might actually serve as a more psychological $2,500 level. It's probably worth just sort of putting it there. But you see resistance. You see several times that it was flipping back and forth from support to resistance here, basically kind of chopping around this level. It didn't quite reach the level here as it was putting in this sort of like W pattern, but it did catch support there, and then that helped push it through to that level that we just put in. So that could be a key level there. Now, I know this is sort of a pretty big spread in between these. So what I would do is I would look for something about mid-range on here. So this is about $300, almost $400, so just shy of $200 up. So maybe somewhere around here, you do see some resistance levels, right? Little resistance levels getting caught, and then little support levels getting caught in here. So a mid-range level in there. And then I'm going to put one level up because we have more to the downside than to the upside charted at the moment. So the next level up that I would look at would be right around here. It might serve more as that like sort of psychological $3,000 level. You see, my instinct would be to put it up here, closer to the like 30, like a little bit higher than 31, but then you're going to be a bit higher, though you would catch these support levels here. Yeah, I'm going to put it up there. 3,000 is probably an important level just psychologically, but I think the actual resistance from the chart is more reflected in this 3118 level. You see resistance, support, 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 and resistance. And then even back here, right, you see this flip here from support to resistance as well. So those are the levels that I'd be looking at, and we can see how this performed, forward. So pretty well. And the other thing that I'd look for in terms of like potential breaks in these levels is anytime that it starts to squeeze into a small wedge like you see here, right? Anytime that the price action is compressing into a smaller and smaller area like you see here, that's, to me, the potential for it to break this downtrend resistance, either because it holds this support level and consolidates through, or the price action compresses and compresses and compresses, and that's sort of like the consolidation or like the coiling that you need for it to then have a burst out of there. Now, it could burst to the upside or to the downside. This sort of a setup is like a descending triangle. So I would certainly wait to see how it breaks and then what it does when it breaks. So it's not just enough to say, okay, it's broken this level or it's broken that downtrend resistance. You need to then see what it's doing, because sometimes it's a fake out, right? Those certainly happen. So to just ignore what the price action does after the break of support or resistance or trend line, you're sort of only doing half the work. So that's my look at Ethereum at the moment. The key level, the closest key level at the moment is this like 28.77. So break above or below that. Break above, I would look for 31.18 to see what it does there. Certainly keep in mind these psychological levels, right? 3,000, 2,500, things like that. To the downside, if it does continue to push down, I'd look for support around 26.78. And then just above or just at, say, 2,500 if that 26.78 can't hold. But it does look to me like it's on the daily chart at least. So maybe not like in the short term, like you could certainly have some green days like you have, here. But on the daily chart at the moment, it does still look like it's bearish to me at the moment. All right, folks, I hope that you have a good weekend ahead. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.